Good afternoon, everybody. It's always good to have you around. We thank God for this program, the first of its kind, that is happening live at El Shaddai Baptist Church. We bless God for the life of our youth leaders who have packaged this program together for us. We have a very sensitive and a trending issue at hand. When we look at the pages of newspapers and listening to news, we hear things happening around us. Just 2 weeks ago, during AIT News by 8 p.m., it was recorded and reported that within the last 3 months, over 800 cases of rape have been reported. These are children of somebody, and we cannot pretend as if we do not know about all this. We have Christians among them, and youths are really going through a lot. So I want to especially appreciate all the leaders who have thought it well that we should have this program. The topic we are considering today says rape and sexual assault, a call to action for Christian youths. In all the cases that have been reported, you will all agree with me that many of the perpetrators of this evil, they are youths. And today, we want to look at the topic from different perspectives. And that's why God has brought away today our mommies and sisters who are going to serve as our facilitators. And I'm going to quickly introduce them to us so that we meet them. By the way, as the program is going live, if you have any question, you can just make use of any of our social media handles and send your questions. The first person I'm introducing today is a medical practitioner, a medical doctor, and she's one of our big mommies in the church. I introduce and welcome to this program Dr. Mrs. Aderito. Shall we appreciate her, please? The second person that I'm going to introduce to us is a legal practitioner. He's a barrister. Then I introduce to us Sister Toby Ajayi. And like I told us, the program for today, we're going to look at it from different angles. And we have another person in the house, a developmental psychologist who is interested in how growth occurs in people, right from their infants to when they grow old. And when we're talking about the issue of rape, we can't just do it without bringing a psychologist. I introduce and welcome Sister Adeladon. And finally, we all know that most of these issues boil down to to the issue of security. And it is very, very, very imperative for us to have a security expert who is going to guide us on few things or some of the basic things we can do in case rape is about to occur. Then I welcome and introduce to us Deaconess Victoria Alao. First and foremost, I don't want us to assume that we all know what this thing is all about. And I want to start from Dr. Aderito. What are the key things, or when we talk about rape, what is it all about? What is it all about? You can go ahead, ma.
Good afternoon once again, and thank you for having me here. When it comes to rape, it is being the word or the term rape has been interchangeably used with sexual assault. Okay. Now, Rape in itself, it is the penetration, no matter how slight, by definition. It is the penetration of either the vagina or probably the mouth or any other orifices, briefly, probably with a penile organ, that is the penis. But sexual assault is now that penetration with any other object other than the penis. So sexual assault, maybe it can be people using the hands with a child, maybe during a sexual abuse, or any other object. Some people have used bottles. You understand? Wow. In boarding school, yes, they do. There are problems like that. Female students doing that to each other. But rape is when a penis is involved as the penetration object.
Good.
That is the difference between rape and sexual assault.
Wow, I like what you have just said. So, because recently I was reading, then somebody said rape is not that limited to, say, the person of opposite sex. And that's why we have lesbians. So, such that happens in such a case is not a rape.
Even the same sex. Like I told you that we've had situations in which a female boarding school, there's rape, and rape cannot occur between opposite sex as same sex.
Okay.
Because you need the penis in rape. The penetration object is the penis in rape.
Thank you.
When sexual assault, it can be any object.
Thank you very much. Psychologist, do you have any view regarding that?
Yes, I just want to add to what she said, that when we are talking about sexual assault, it's a form of sexual violence, which rape also is one of it. And when we are talking about sexual violence, we are talking about a forced sexual contact with someone against the person's will, or even if the person cannot consent to it. So in this, sexual violence is an umbrella of sexual assault, rape, we have child sexual abuse, we have even just fondling, exhibitionism. All these are under sexual violence. So sexual violence is an umbrella of all this we are talking about. But just like what she said, when we talk about rape, but psychologically we can say that the penetration in psychology is not limited to penetration when we are talking about rape.
Can you expatiate?
Yes, I will. And this is what I'm trying to explain. When we are talking about rape, rape involves forced sexual contact against someone who cannot consent or who does not consent. I said who cannot. Somebody that has not get to an age that can consent to that act. And then who cannot? The person that doesn't even want to involve in it at all. But this one involves force. And that is where rape comes in. And that is why she mentioned penetration. Penetration is very, very important when we talk about rape. It has to do with a man against a female. But also, rape can also be established within same sex, psychologically, because that also comes with a whole psychologically, because
rape can occur.
Yes, between same sex, because it comes with a whole lot of trauma that the individual who is being involved in such acts will experience for a long time before the person can recover and be healed.
Thank you very much. You see, those of you listening, I think we are now getting different perspectives, and that's why the leaders have brought different experts. And from what Dr. Aderito said, I have picked many things that I do not know before. And here, a psychologist just told us another thing. Now, but from a legal point of view, how would you describe rape, Barrister Toby?
All right, thank you very much. As Dr. Aderito has rightly said, and as Mrs. Adeladon has rightly defined, rape is the unlawful carnal knowledge of a woman by a man forcibly and against her will. But then that seems to be a very simple definition of what rape is. From the legal perspective, we have several laws that make provisions for what rape is and what.
Don't go there yet, because I'm still going to ask you questions about what law says about rape.
All right.
Yeah.
Let me.
Okay. Deaconess Alao, security-wise, what would you call a rape? And how will you describe it? As a security person, are there things that you will need to see before you people can really agree that rape has actually taken place?
Thank you. As other facilitator has rightly said, in medical perspectives, the lawyer and the psychologist. In a simple way, rape is just a violent crime, and it's a crime. As psychologists said the other time that sexual assault, rape is part of sexual assault, and we have different types of rape. We have custodial rape. She said the other time that there are some children that they can't give their consent, whether this thing, yes, I consent with it or not. Maybe they find themselves as housemaid with somebody, and the oga is just trying to that because I'm the oga of this house, therefore I have right to do whatever and don't tell anybody. Doesn't even occur to the child that whether this thing has any implication or not. And we have serial rape, we have gang rape, we have date rape, and all this kind of thing. But when we are talking in security perspective, rape is a violent crime, because with that is a force. In the process, you can hurt that person, you can kill that person, which, if you murder such a person, is a felony. It's a case that is against the state. Therefore, rape comes in diverse ways, and there are so many things that leads to rape. And even in the Bible, when we read the book of Genesis chapter 34, it happens in the book of Genesis. The daughter of Leah, Diana, Bible says when she went out to relate with the daughters of the land, she was raped. Move out to relate with the daughter, she was raped without her consent. The Bible says she was humble. She was disgraced.
We will get there. I like where you are
Thank
going
you.
again, because I actually have some Bible references to that. You have just led us to another place, section of the program. We will get there. Now, from what Dr. Aderito said, that Barrister Toby said, and Sister Lydia Adeladan, and even you, Deaconess Alao, have been able to get something. Then I was trying to relate your opinion with that of Doctor's own, that consent, sometimes you don't even know what it means. That when such is being done, the one at the receiving end may not even be able to explain. And that's why we have seen, how would you explain a young man of 35, 40 that raped a minor of, say, 6 years, 9 years? The girl couldn't have given consent in such a case. And you called it unlawful. That's a law practitioner. Deaconess Alao called it violent crime. People in the house, I hope we are getting something. You know why the burden is so heavy? You can't imagine your sister being raped. You can't imagine your daughter being raped. But the most terrible one of recent is the rapists actually carried out their operation right in the church. And they even killed the lady. So if we are talking this way, then you should know that we are up to something. And peradventure, we have people that are into that. I hope you have just known what you are doing now. In the Bible, from thing we have a case of rape. Genesis 39, 1-7, we have a case of rape. And even in Genesis 34. Now, that will now take us to this. What are the causes of rape? Why do people go into rape? I want us to talk about it. Let me start from Sister Lydia Adeladan. Because we really want to know, why do people go into it? If it is a crime, if it is unlawful, why do people go into it?
Thank you very much, sir. There are a lot of psychological causes that underline or predispose why people go into rape. And I'll try to mention few. Number one, I will try to mention is it can be an
Just
act,
mention two,
yes,
so
it
that
can
others
be-
too will have something
yes,
to
it
mention.
can be an act of revenge. Revenge in the sense that maybe this person also has been molested while growing up, or the person also has been a victim of rape, and the person is trying to take vengeance on other people. It can be an act of vengeance. Another thing is it can be an act of control. You want to be in charge. Because if you are using force on other person, you are in charge already. You've already tied the person cannot move. The person can't even tell you this is the style I want. Okay, so it gives you this psychological control that you are in charge of the act.
Thank you very much. Dr. Aderito, causes of rape. Why would people go into such a criminal act?
Well, on the side of the perpetrators,
Okay, ma'am.
some of them may have personality problems or psychological problems that is a form of expression of what is happening in their mind. Sometimes you might not even know that they have a problem until serial rapists. A serial rapist is not a normal human being. There's a problem behind it. And also, like my sister said, they feel in charge. They feel like, okay, outside among other men, they are timid, they are shy. They cannot express themselves. But they need to express that macho feeling, that ego. I'm a man, I must subject somebody. And I cannot subject my fellow man. I cannot talk to you face to face. Or maybe even they may have been abused as a child. The perpetrator may have been abused as a child. So all along his life, he has had a low self-esteem, feel abased. So the day they get a girl, they want to just prove to it that I'm a man, I can subjugate, I can subject somebody to my powers.
Thank you very much. I'm sure that we are learning. Deaconess Alao, you are going to tell us probably too. I know you are a researcher into crime issues as well. And what are the causes of rape? Why do men go into such a criminal act?
Thank you. As my sisters has rightly said, some people, they want to take revenge. Why with somebody, I think it happened in Kano State, serial rape. A man, within a month, rape not less than 40 people. It's not normal. Medically, I think the man cannot be in his right sense and be doing such a thing. And another thing is that because of drugs that people take, and drug itself is a crime. Once people take drug, especially those ones that you are not supposed to take, drug abuse and all this kind of thing, they are on top of the world. And they see other people as nothing. And because they are intoxicated, they do things abnormally.
Thank you very much. Barrister, why do people, since it's unlawful, why do people go into it? Do you have one or two reasons that you want to give us?
Yes, thank you. There are diverse reasons why people actually go or commit the offense of rape. For instance, if a lady had previously given her consent, okay, probably they have a relationship, a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, and then they are used to they are used to having sexual intercourse together. But then perhaps the day you were meant to have it, this particular day the rape was committed, she wasn't in the mood. And she kept insisting that she was not interested. Now you force yourself on her because you had been doing it all along. So you felt she was just trying. Yes and no wasn't really a no. It meant yes to you. Then there are instances where you feel someone is a prostitute. Prostitutes too, they have rights. They have dignity. They have right to say no if they are not interested in having sex at that particular time. So you have to respect that, even though, okay, she has a track record of being a prostitute all along. But immediately she says no, just respect that no. Then, like other facilitators have rightly said, it could be a psychological problem. A child that has been traumatized, an adult, let me put it that way, that had a traumatic childhood, would want to inflict pain on some other persons. So it could be psychological too.
Thank you very much. Please, those of us at home, like I have announced, you can send in your questions using all our social media handles so that our facilitators can attend to them. Okay, doctor.
I just want to add that peer pressure too.
Peer pressure.
Yes. Secondary school boys, university students, guys, you are betting. You can do it, I can't do it. You can do it, I can't do it. Okay, if you can do it, go and prove yourself. He did not plan that he would do such a thing, but he wanted to prove to his colleagues that he's a man. So peer pressure too can contribute to causes of war.
Thank you very much. Before we move to the next question, a sister of mine sent some of the comments that people made on one of the social media platforms that she belongs. And listen to what somebody said. This person said, victims of rape don't voice out. They would rather keep to themselves. And it's getting annoying every day. She said she was a victim too. But this is what happened. She said she got raped by her uncle at age 10. At 16, by her boss. At 17, at a night class. At 19, by a music coordinator in the church. She said she kept it to herself, fell into depression, and it has not been easy for her. There are so many of such stories that I have here. Ma, I like the way you started today. But in 1 minute each, I just want us to, all our facilitators, to say something about this. Now, sexual feelings and emotions. Are they demonic manifestations? If yes or no, or if it is a no, what can people do practically to control such feelings? I hope we get the question I just asked. That I'm a man. Is it a demonic traces or manifestation for me to, and I am feeling one kind? Barrister, you get my question?
Okay,
and if it is, because something will lead, or something has led rapists into what they do, whether for rituals, whether for players, from what we have said, whether from peer prayer and all of that. But is it really a sin for somebody to have a sexual feeling? That's the question. I think I just got the right word. Is it a sin? You know, we are in the church now. This is a Christian platform. But is it a sin, ma?
To have sexual emotions and feelings is not a sin. We are born with it. Yes, we are born with it. There is something we call primary sexual organs and secondary sexual. We are born with it. We are born with our feelings. It's not a sin. But the thing is, it becomes a sin when you don't have control over your sexual feelings and desire. Everybody is born with it, just like I said, and that is the affirmative answer to it. But you have to control it. For instance, most of the time, like the case study you gave to us now, most of the time, reason why rape victims don't want to voice out is because most of the penetrators, they are people that are close to them. They are people they know. How will one voice out that my uncle raped me? Who will believe? How will they look at you? How will you say that my music coordinator raped me? Where have you been? How can you explain in the courtship? How will you explain that? most of the time, all these perpetrators, they are people that are close to the victims. And because most of the time, in relation to the question you asked now, because they lack self-control, ability to hold. When you are having a feeling, I feel like having sex now. It becomes a sin when you now acted your feelings uncontrollably outside marriage.
Thank you for that. I like you. You can go to Ajabra. I like you.
So outside marriage, even in courtship or in courtship, yes, that's the right word, and that is the very good word we can use there. This is a Christian platform. In courtship, you are in a relationship with your fiancé. You've both said we are not going to have any sexual relationship or sexual intercourse, and the other person is saying, I don't know how it is feeling me now. I just feel like. And before you know, you just jump at the person and you say, I don't know. No. There is a point of self-discipline, very, very important. Self-discipline is very, very important. And prayer is very, very good. Nobody can overemphasize that.
Thank you very much. From where you just stopped, Dr. Aderito, is it a myth, if I may put it that way? You see, guys, we do talk. Oh, I'm the only man here. I'm the only man. You see, we do talk, man. And one of the days, somebody said something, and I said I have never confirmed that even in the hospital, that both ladies and men, or young guys and young women, that sometimes they can, it's possible for them to be having some pains, and that you medical people will recommend that they should go and have sex. Don't shake. You will answer me, ma. But, ma, this is one of the lies that go around. And before you know it, just what you said the other time, somebody comes around and tells you that I did it to my babe. That's the word. No, you can try it. So when the lady reveals this, then rape me. Is it true that when men are having whatever pain in wherever part of their body, is it true that medical people do recommend sex to them, even before they get married?
Thank you very much. We do not recommend sex. For example, let me add to what you have said. Some say if you have painful menses, if you have dysmenorrhea, that if you can start having sex as a young girl, you will have less pain. But there are drugs people can take. There are other avenues. There are other treatment modalities for any reproductive problem one may have. It is when you have gone to the wrong person to ask questions. That's when they give you an advice that go and have sex. No, especially when you're a child of God.
Thank you very, very much.
Then, in addition to what my sisters have said, if the kind of music you listen to, if you listen to, I believe we were all once in the world. There is nobody was born a saint. Even at my age, I know what used to be the music we listened to in the 90s, early 2000s, you understand? If you listen to some music, even if you are not moved, you will be moved. So if that is the kind of music you listen to over and over and over and over, or even movies, or even novels, I see some ladies, some men, the only thing they read, the kind of novel they read is erotic novels. The pictures in their rooms are erotic. When you wake up and the first thing you see is a nude man or a nude woman, at one point or another, you'll be pushed to commit what you don't want to do. God help us.
Sorry, sir.
Thank you very much.
Sorry.
Please, you can still send in your questions on all our social media handles. Our facilitators are waiting for your questions. Thank you.
I quickly want to add to what Doctor said. Nowadays, home videos promote sexual activity. Because almost, I can say majority of the home videos, there is none you are going to watch that you will see a scene where a sexual contact is being displayed. So just to add to what she said, what we feed on Yes, what we feed on, also we determine how we have control over our sexual emotions and feelings.
Thank you very much. Before we move on now, I I want to ask you, what says the law about rape?
Okay, before I go into the legal definitions, let me just make a distinction between rape and defilement. Okay, rape is for. Okay, let me start with defilement. Defilement is an offense, a sexual offense committed against a child that is under 16 years, under 13 years, because there are different punishments for both groups. Now, rape is against a woman, is a sexual offense committed against a woman. And of course, looking at what the Child Rights Act states, a child is anyone under the age of 18 years. So of course, anyone that is a minor, 16 years and below, when such an act is committed, it is called defilement. Now, I'll make reference to 5 provisions of the law. I'll make reference to the criminal code. The criminal code is applicable in the southern states of Nigeria. The penal code is applicable in the northern states of Nigeria. Then we have Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act. That is applicable not in all states. I'll make mention of the states it is applicable to as time goes on. Then we have the Child Rights Act. Then we have the criminal laws of Lagos State. Now, by the definition of the criminal code, it's only a woman that can be raped. It's only females that can be raped. A man cannot be raped. Then under the criminal code...
But that may not be in reality.
In reality,
okay.
It isn't
you can
reality.
Continue, man.
Okay. Then under the penal code too, it's only females that can be raped. But good enough, under the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act, both genders can be raped. Under the Child Rights Act, children. Then, I'm not sure. I don't know if you still ask about the penalty for these offenses.
Please, you can do that
okay,
now. You have the
just
floor
go on
now.
with that. All right.
That's
now,
actually where we want to, because it's like the victims of rape do not really know how law protects them. Maybe, what are the law provisions against our rape and rapists?
all right. For an offense to amount to rape, there are actually some conditions that must be in place.
Okay.
There must be capacity.
What do you mean by capacity?
Okay, under the criminal code, a boy under 12 years is believed not to be capable of raping.
You don't mean it?
I mean it. That's what the law says, the criminal code. Now, under the same criminal code, a man cannot rape his wife. There's nothing like spousal rape under the criminal code. Then under the criminal code too, a woman cannot rape. Under the criminal code, you have the use of a man's genitals as the object of penetration. Then under the criminal code, penetration, no matter how slight it is, will actually, it's good enough to prove that there was rape. And you don't have to really prove that the hymen was broken under the criminal code. Okay. As long as there was penetration, no matter how slight it is. And then, apart from capacity, there must be a carnal knowledge. Carnal knowledge is okay about the penetration aspect. That okay, he actually used his private part, his penile organ to violate our right. Now, under the same criminal code, there is no provision that states that you can use other objects to commit the offense of rape.
Like Doctor pointed out the other time.
Yes, but one good thing about the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act is that it makes such provisions. Under it, you can commit the offense of rape either through the vagina, anus, or mouth. Okay. Then it can be through any object. It can be through, like she rightly stated, bottles, candles. If you hear all these horrific stories about how people commit this offense, you'll be shocked at what people do with
Okay, maybe I
objects.
should now ask, which of the laws do you apply in Nigeria? Or is it based on the type of cases that are being reported?
As I earlier stated, criminal code is applicable in southern states of Nigeria.
Okay.
Penal code is applicable in northern states of Nigeria. But then the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act was initially applicable in FCT, Abuja, Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. But good enough, some states have adopted it, they've domesticated it. States like Oyo State.
Okay.
But then the issue there is, okay, even though they've domesticated it, the implementation, how far have you gone with implementing it? About the penalty, under the criminal code, when you rape someone, you are liable to, upon conviction, liable to life imprisonment. But then you hear of so many shocking decisions of courts of, okay, someone having been convicted of rape is sentenced to 7 years imprisonment. You find that ridiculous. That means, okay, what the law provides for is that the limit of the punishment you can actually give anybody is life imprisonment. But then the court can decide to give something lesser than that. But the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act gives a minimum of 12 years. That means you can go higher than the 12 years. Now, the Child Rights Act, where it is applicable, it is life imprisonment when someone is convicted. And one admirable thing about the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act is that there is now a register for sex offenders.
Okay.
So when someone is convicted, the person's name is put there. You have the records for future purposes to be able to track the person, his activities. It's a good development, but we only hope that other states actually domesticate this and they is implemented. Now, I'd like to say, sorry,
Okay.
that for people that have been raped or defiled, rape is bailable. It's a bailable offense.
Is bailable.
Yes, it is. And that's why there should be more sexual education, more public awareness on what rape is, what defilement is. So when you go to a police station, for instance, to report after seeking medical attention in the first instance, and you now see the perpetrator walking around the street, you shouldn't be too disappointed. The law provides for, yes. So the person investigations are ongoing.
Thank you, Barrister. I've never heard of this before in my life. And I think this seminar becomes more relevant.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I realized I didn't talk about consent. We've been talking about consent, and you know one thing is that consent is something that is required. That, okay, if someone says no, it's a no. But then there are some situations where the perpetrator tells you that he actually got the consent of the person. If the person is an imbecile, that's no consent. The person is not mentally stable. If the person is defiling an underage child, it's no consent. If the person says, let's go ahead and have it. If a child of 16 tells you that, okay, no problem, it's okay, let's go and have sex, or you think that the person should be above 16, that's still no defense under the law. So those are no excuses that, okay, the person looks, children of nowadays actually, they look older and bigger than their age. So that could actually deceive a perpetrator of the crime. So you really have to be careful. And it's good enough that right now, Ekiti State, there was a recent decision that was made. A man raped a 23-year-old lady, and he was sent to life imprisonment. That's a very good one. And then his name was registered in the sex offenders register. It's a very, very good one. And I wish all states could actually adopt
that. Thank you very much. Few things that I've heard today, we make one to a little bit, I don't know, we are live now. And I think that's the essence of today's seminar. We have heard what the law says. The guy may be bailed. And that's why I would like Dickness to just briefly explain to us what are the things that ladies can do to prevent themselves from being raped, security-wise. What are the things? Or do you have an addition to what she has said?
No.
Okay, you can go ahead, ma'am.
You remember initially I talked about the book of Genesis chapter 34. Diana was not conscious of her environment, her surroundings. Those people she was trying to befriend. That's why she was a victim of rape. We have to be security conscious. When you are walking on the streets, we should walk in a well-lit area. Don't walk in the darkness. It is advisable that we walk in pair, especially when it's not during the day. And sometimes when you are at home, maybe your sister or your brother is outside, or your parents, they are outside, you are waiting for them, you leave the door open. It's wrong. You have to be security conscious. Lock the door. When they come back, they should call you. You open the door, and be sure of those who are at the door before you open the door. When you meet a new friend, you don't just give your contact address. Some people, once they meet a new friend, we are doing this. Even in the church of God, after they exchange phone number, immediately they give contact address. It's very wrong. You expose your life, and it makes it porous. Then when you are walking in a isolated area, try to, when you are going out, be selective. Those dresses you put on. Sometimes you put on dress that when there's danger, you can escape easily. Not something you put on that when you want to escape, it's difficult for you even to run. Before the other one will capture with you. And when we talk about you defend yourself, you fight back, self-defense. When we are talking about self-defense, there's no any particular one you can use. It depends on the situation. It depends on the location. If you find yourself around Agbo here during the day, and you discover that like Agbo junction, and somebody wants to attack you, you can use a means of self-defense by shouting. It's a self-defense.
Okay.
That's why I say there's no any particular one. It depends on the situation, depends on the location, it depends on even the rapist, the outlook. If somebody is with a weapon and you say you want to fight back, your life is very important. We have passive defense, we have active defense. When we talk about passive defense, there are something, we need the wisdom of God. There are some things you can fake, something you can tell the rapist and you will escape. You can walk out the rapist and the rapist will just will calm down as if you want to give your consent, but you walk out the rapist. And when we talk about the active one, you must be sure that you have the capability to fight this one. If you don't have the capability, you can devise another means. And above all, let's be careful of where we go. Who is your friend? When we go to public places and we are eating, we are drinking, and somebody excuses you, you leave your drink and you come back to take it, you don't know what will have happened. If you are in a public place, they offer you drink or food and whatever, and somebody excuses you and you have to go to restroom, take your food along, or when you come back, you don't take it again. Because there are some people, mostly date rape, it happens as they induce most of the victims.
I have a story here to that effect. So you are very correct, man.
There's something that happened, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago in Lagos, in Bagada, that 2 ladies, they decided to go and visit a friend that is marking her birthday, that, okay, just to give her surprise, whatever, not knowing that the other ladies and the other friend, they have planned for them. They raped the other 2, and they left the house with the rapist. The other guests left the house. It was in the neighborhood estate that somebody was hearing a kind of shout and all this kind of thing, that they came to rescue. They took the 2 ladies to hospital. I don't know what really happened thereafter. Therefore, let's be careful, and God will help us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to ask you and Dr. Aderito something. You mentioned it while talking now. You see, there is this particular discussion that is ongoing. We have attached the way ladies do dress to one of the causes of rape. But with the trends that we have now, okay, how does a 6-year-old girl dressed? How does a 75-year-old grandma dressed? Now, are there spiritual attachments to rape and the perpetrators? Or what can we say based on the examples I have given? Do people use charms? Do they engage in such an act for whatever spiritual reasons? You can, you can please address, and anybody that wants to also talk about it from our facility, because it's really a major concern now. Are we going to say a 7-year-old girl wore a bomb shot or a microskirt that would have warranted her to experience such a terrible thing from a man? What do you have to say about that, man?
I think the psychologist said the other time that when people are not disciplined, you cannot control self-discipline. You know, it's just like you are feeling hungry and you feel that I'm not having food, therefore you just get somewhere and you steal somebody's food. That's not an excuse. The same thing naturally as human being, apart from those people that use it as spiritual whatever, maybe ritual or whatsoever, or they induce themselves with drug and they are moving all about to, or as a result of just to take revenge. You know, when you cannot control yourself and you feel that is an excuse, it's not tenable. Therefore, it's not all about the way people dress alone. Spiritual is both psychological issue and it's both criminal.
Yes, ma'am.
When somebody have criminal
Intentions.
intent
I
that
get it?
I want to do this thing, and most of the time, especially the Syria one, the gang rape is like organized crime. They plan it. They may be training the girl for sometimes that this lady, she has been doing one kind, whatever to us, you want to teach her a lesson and all this kind. They plan it, not just it happen. And when they want to, they take drug that when they are doing it, they don't have pity, they don't have mercy. Therefore, it's go other whatsoever.
Thank you, mommy. Doctor, it's like you have something to say.
Yes.
I'm coming. I'm going to give you a chance. But Doc, do you have something to say about
Well,
this?
in addition to what Dickiness has said, a 6-year-old and an adult, how would the girl have dressed? But we are forgetting that these guardians, these uncles have always been at home. Young girl, come and sit on my lap. She's a young girl. This man is matured. Now visualize a man who is probably being denied. Probably there's a marital discord. His wife is not being very submissive about sexual things. Now he goes to this person's house, like Baja, fine girl, come and sit on my lap. Come and sit on my lap. And the way they will put the child, the lady, the girl, they will put her so close, or the girl might not even know that she's arousing the man. Uncle, those days that uncles stay in your house, they go to school in your house, probably even finish university in your house, they will walk about the house bare chested, and 2-year-old, 3-year-old, has seen somebody's breast, will be playing with the breast of the young man. She does not know what she's doing. So that is one of where we must prevent these things. Uncles cannot just come to your house and tell your daughter to come and sit on my lap. No. In church, in social gatherings, you might be in a party. Lagbaja, go and help me take care of my daughter. You can't find a girl to go and help you take care of your daughter. It's a guy. You are busy. You don't even know what is going on. So we kind of expose these children unnecessarily sometimes.
Thank you very much. Doctor, Sister Lydia,
Yes.
you...
So I want to talk about the aspect of a particular dress. Is it an excuse for rape? That is what we regard as shift blame. It's just a way of shifting blame. It doesn't have anything to do with it. It's a myth. Just like Dickness has established and Doctor has established. It's more psychological, it's more spiritual. In fact, many people, it can also be a sign of mental illness. When you see an adult molesting a child, pedophiles, it can be a sign of mental illness. And the person may not necessarily, is not mentally stable. So, and the aspect, the barrister mentioned of something the other time, that it is bailable. And that is to tell us that a perpetrator can go scot-free, then it's now the victim that will suffer for long.
And we are coming to that. That will be our last question, actually. Okay, ma, Deaconess. Because, you know, the one at the receiving end is the most important person in all this discussion. And that will be our last consideration for today, actually.
I want to
Deaconess, ma.
clarify something. Offenses being bailable does not mean that the perpetrator or the suspect has gone free. You can't keep somebody in the cell forever. When the investigation is going on, they release the person based on certain requirements. You meet up with this, you bring a guarantor, you do this, you do that.
Does that not mean that person can run away?
There are
No,
so many conditions you would meet
there's,
before his
yes,
bailed.
there's going to be condition for his bail. Not just that they release him just like that. Because when they keep that person for more than 24 hours, 48 hours, that's when human rights, whatever, will come up and say you are depriving him of his rights.
Thank you very much,
All
ma.
right.
Okay, Barrister,
Yes,
1 minute.
Based on the dressing, the dress code for by the provisions of the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act, it's no longer gender based. It's no longer about a female being raped or defiled. It's about both gender. Now, what will a boy wear that will make an adult, a male adult, look at him and say, I want to sexually assault you, I want to rape you, of course, through the anus.
And it's happening.
And it's happening. So one thing is,
It's
we
happening.
should stop the victim, like she said, shift blame. It's never the fault of the victim, trust me. Because looking at the types of rape that we have, the forms of rape, you have gang rape, like the security expert has rightly mentioned. You have incest. You have acquittance rape. You have war rape. You have prison rape. Is it the fault of the person? The person is incarcerated for crying out loud in case of prison rape, and then she's helpless, and some really. And then when it comes to war rape, some people believe that psychologically you have to incapacitate your victim just to prove a point. So it's never about the victim, please. It's about the perpetrator. It's the person that has to be dealt with. The victim, and that's why so many people do not report these things. Let me give you, if we keep shifting blame on the victim, people will not talk out. And I had several times I've had experiences where I felt threatened. Because probably I've been on a long dress before, and I felt threatened because of the environment that I found myself in. Not because I really walked in there, it was just the only route I could take home. There was another time recently I was reading about so many decisions about these rape cases, and I read too many, and at a point I felt threatened. Someone in an environment where I was used to someone opening the door in the middle of the night because the person wants to go and read, I sleep late. Now, after sleeping for about 30 minutes, I suddenly woke up. I felt threatened. Was someone about to attack me? I was alert. It's never the fault of the victim. So we should clarify that. It's about the perpetrator. We've stated the causes, some things that could cause it. Now, the perpetrator has to be made to understand the repercussions. When you rape someone, it could be a lifetime trauma.
We are going there. That will be our last question. One of the questions.
Hello, sorry.
Okay, doctor.
But we should not lay the blame totally off the dresses.
Yes,
As a
yes,
female,
ma'am.
I have seen
Yeah.
some lady dress that I know that this is provocative. There is nothing you are going to tell me that the way you are dressed, you are trying to send a message.
Yes, ma'am.
So please, the way when you wear you wear a particular trouser and you're on Okada and all your panties are showing, not ordinary pants now, maybe jean strings or tongues, and a man who is just at the verge is not psychologically balanced, but he's not thinking about rape, but now sees that you have tipped him into that particular act. So please, our dressing is still very important, though we should not shift the blame to the victim.
Thank you very much.
That is not enough reason to rape someone. It isn't. I found myself in situations where, coming this morning, the dress I hired on yesterday night, when I put it on, because of the pandemic, everybody has added a little bit of weight. Now, I tried it on. In the past, it was a little bit loose. So I felt wearing this would be okay. When I put it on, it was tight. Now, there are some situations you find yourself that, okay, there is no electricity. You really have to go out. And then that's the only option you're left with. Or you're, in the case of someone wearing trousers, you probably feel that, okay, the trousers is okay to cover your nakedness. But then, because of the peculiarity of the bike you're mounting, there is, your trousers start shifting below. That wasn't your intention in the first place. It wasn't your intention. So the perpetrator is never an excuse.
Yeah,
Whatever one wears it,
I-
it's never
The
an
law.
excuse.
So
Barrister.
what about a lady who leaves the house and not just half, 3/4 of the cleavage is outside?
Yes.
3/4. And this is a kind of lady who is well endowed, if you know what I mean.
I think the major point we are driving at, the church, as a matter of fact, the church has a dress code. Sometimes I usually joke with Barrister. I said, I've never seen you on trousers. You know, sometimes we joke like that. I think the point that Dr. Aderito was making just now is that don't say your dressing does not matter. The way you dress actually says is, let me tell you, I was asking the question the other time. Everybody that goes into rape, something attracted him or her. It may not be defendable, actually. Whether the person wants to use it for spiritual worldview. So the point that Dr. Aderito just made was that your dressing can actually land you into troubles because you are sending a message. And Barrister just made another point by saying that guys, brothers, rapists, even the dressings do not even matter. Because when you go ahead to do that, you are a criminal. What you have done is unlawful. And we just have to strike a balance between this. Because there is no reason, like Mommy said. Do you see, we are already running out of time. But one of the questions that we just got from one of our people says, Deaconess, do we have female rapists? Do we really have them?
Yes.
We do.
Yes.
So the person that asked the question, our security expert has just answered. Finally,
Sorry, let me talk about that.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, the criminal code does not actually recognize that. You
Does
rather
not?
recognize that there is a female rapist.
Wow.
The person would rather be charged for assault. The person would be charged for assault against the man. Now, the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act gives allowance for that. Because both, yes. So, but then the unfortunate thing is that that Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act is not applicable in all states. Wow. So, assuming in a certain state, let's say like Osun State, a lady were to rape another person, she would just be charged for assault and not rape. So until such laws as Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act are adopted by states, domesticated, and then there is implementation, you can never get justice for someone.
okay. Thank you, Barrister. I was going to say that I think most of our laws need to be revisited. I am telling you, I was trying to look at when I wanted to ask the year that those laws were made. Because the current realities do not really, we are not in law class anyways, but you got the point I'm making. Okay, finally, many of our facilitators actually wanted to talk along that line. Victims of rape, they live their entire lives. Many of them, or some of them, or most of them, do not recover from it. Somebody posted on our WhatsApp page just recently and was sharing with us a young lady that was raped at age 9. She had a dream of becoming a lawyer. She was raped by her foster father. And from there, she went into drugs that I've never had in my entire life. Now, ma, security-wise, you know, she just said something now that she read up to a point that when she wakes up, she felt unsecured, threatened. What are the security implications or effects of rape on the victims? And all of us should just prepare for that question. Psychologically, what are the effects? Legally and medically.
Thank you. A victim sometimes can commit suicide. And imagine somebody that has a kind of dream to become something, and because of this and find it difficult, fall into being depressed, cannot discuss with people because you don't know what you are going to get, the feedback from the society. The person can choose that instead of living, take her life and commit suicide. Which
Thank you.
is it's a serious issue.
Thank you.
Yes, it can lead to depression. By the time the person is living with it, and the person cannot even share, that is the major problem. The person cannot open up because the person will be feeling, how can I be trusted? Especially if it is being occurred by someone that is very, very close to the person. How will you say it? And also, it can come with shame and sense of humiliation. In fact, someone can lose self-esteem, and the person will have low self-esteem. And also, it can lead to post-traumatic syndromes. In fact, it can lead to stress disorder, where the person begins to have a whole lot of palpitations, leads to physiological disorders and all. And another thing is, it can also affect the future of the person, especially for a female. The person may not have interest in anything sex again
Oh,
for
man.
life. Or
Oh,
the
man.
person can become aggressive
Yeah.
with sex. That at every point, this person doesn't want to have sex. And it can also happen that the person doesn't want to have anything to do with sex. And that is why you see some females saying, I don't want to have anything to do with any man.
Yeah.
Not knowing the underlying cause. In fact, many of them might have forgotten what happened or what transpired that decision. In fact, many people can become very aggressive.
This or that.
Before you know it, the person will just change personality, anything, the person just feel touchy. Even if you just want to touch the person, just see the person very, very aggressive.
Thank
so
you.
the psychological effect is encompassing.
Thank you very much. Barrister, any legal effect or implication?
Okay.
I'm sorry, because what I just heard today, the punishment attached to rape, to me, looking at our current reality, is too insignificant. I don't know. So what can you say about that?
Before I answer your question, what punishment would you prefer?
Death.
Death?
Yeah, capital punishment, if
You know
possible.
the risk in such a situation when, okay, the penalty is death. There's instances where the perpetrator did not actually, or the person that was actually accused of committing a crime did not commit it.
Yes,
So what happens
yes,
when
yes,
the person
yes.
has been killed
After
or has been
investigation
sentenced
now.
to, what did you say?
After investigation.
After investigation, but you know the way our investigative process could be.
Okay, let's leave that. I think the youth fellowship will have to bring you back because there are many things that we really need to know legally about Nigerian system. So, are there any legal implication or effect of rape on the
Okay,
victim?
basically, when someone is raped or defiled, the first point of call is to go to the hospital. Please do not go to the bedroom or bathe yourself. Once you have your bath, you are washing up any form of evidence that you can use to pin the person down. So go to a hospital, see a medical expert, make sure the person takes samples of wherever. Then that one will help the police in investigating. If you do not report on time, the danger there is that the crime scene you would have lost pieces of evidence you need. You need forensic experts to actually help with investigation. So you would have lost them. The good thing about law and rape crime is that you can at any point in time report it. It's not statute bad. So, but for defilement, you have to report under 2 months. Defilement is for those under 16, under 13. Now, but for those that are really raped women, they can report at any point. But it's better reported earlier so that the pieces of evidence will not be lost.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Aderito, any medical implication, any medical effect?
There's a lot of medical effects. You have short term and long term. My sister has talked about the long term, but short term, we have heard of the recent cases that people were killed during the process of rape. So they might not actually be killed by perpetrator, but maybe an internal injury had taken place, and the person bled internally. Maybe there was nobody to take that person to the hospital. That's one of the reasons why you should come to the hospital. And when you come, if it has just happened, the first thing we do is to assess you preliminary. Not even the first. We ask questions, but quickly look at you. Is there something life-threatening that we have to take care of immediately? Then if there's no, then we now start taking history. Do you know where it happened? Did you see the face of the person? Were you drugged? Things like that, so that we can help the police. Now, the first thing are sexually transmitted diseases. The perpetrator might be someone who has done this several times, or probably has a loose lifestyle, and definitely has some things already in his system that will be unconsciously passed on to the victim. That is why even sometimes that might even be the first pointer. You see a 6-year-old coming to the hospital with vaginal discharge. You check, this is STI, this is candida, this is something that is sexually related. You now start asking the child, what happened? You say nothing happened. You excuse the parents. That's when they now tell you that she has been abused by a relation. Or you see genital warts, something that normally you would not see in the genitals of a young person. You suspect that something is going on. So HIV is one of them. That is why when people are raped, you tell them to come to the hospital so that you prevent some of these things. There are drugs you can give when you come early, within 72 hours. There are drugs that you can be given to prevent HIV. We can check your hepatitis B status. If you are negative, we'll give you vaccination for hepatitis B. Even emergency contraception. Who wants to? You don't want. Added injury is for the person to be raped and now get pregnant from the process and now having to bear that child. It's a vicious cycle. That woman will most likely never love that child. So when you come to the hospital on time, we ask about your sexual history as well. When was the last time you had sex yourself? So if you have never had sex before, no contraception, we give you an emergency contraception. You understand? So other problems like that, hepatitis B infection, hepatitis C, HIV, you understand? Even fractures in the process. Some might have hip fracture, you understand? Some might have developed back pain that will be long term. So there are so many short-term and long-term effects of rape.
Thank you very much.
To the legal
Okay.
You know, this is Africa. Sorry, this is Africa, and we believe in mediating between parties when they are having disputes. Please, when it comes to rape, do not take it as a family thing. Allow the person to speak out. It's about seeking justice, not vengeance. Let justice take its full course. Because if you allow the perpetrator to just go there, to be on the loose, you let him go freely, you know the dangers there include, he could do it to some other persons.
Yeah.
And then in an instance in a situation where you tell the person to marry the victim, it's unfair. Psychologically, it's unfair because it's going to be a traumatic marriage. So please let people talk. Let them speak out. Let's stop the blame game. Let's stop the silence game. Let's stop shaming people. Their right has been violated. Let them speak out. There's a particular one that is trending now. I wouldn't mention names because, it happened 2 years ago. And then the lady put it online. And people are blaming her for, because the person is a celebrity, you want to. Really, it's unfair. Let the law take its full course. We want justice, not vengeance, remember. So there are some people that are saying that, the person should be castrated. No, that's actually vengeance in my own opinion. But we want justice. Justice is okay when the person is guilty. The person should be sentenced accordingly. So please, public awareness is how we can go far with that.
Thank you very much. And I must say that it's been a wonderful time today. And for those of you joining us live, we thank you for watching. Many things have been said today, and I want to believe that we've been enlightened by what all our facilitators have told us. The issue that we have discussed today is very heavy in the heart of many of us. And you can see the way all our facilitators have spoken today. Please, stay away from rape. It is ungodly, and God is not happy with it. The example that Deaconess gave the other time from the scripture, we know what happened thereafter. Please and please, rape is a crime. And God will help all of us in Jesus' name. And for the church, I think we can continue to do advocacy and speak up. And let's encourage people to speak up about their experiences without they being, we must not, stigmatization must not occur. Because we usually relate with people by their past. And that's one of the reasons they don't want to come out to speak. So once again, Dr. Mrs. Aderito, you are welcome. Out of your busy schedules, you have taken out time to be with us today. On behalf of the president of the youth of this church and the executive, thank you for coming. Shall we appreciate her, please? Our barrister, actually, I disagree with some of the things you said today. And we are making proposal as a church that our law in Nigeria needs serious review. But nonetheless, you didn't charge us for this service.
Sorry, before we really close finally, please, if you've been a victim of rape, you're a victim of rape, there are centers that actually, there are advocacy centers that you can actually reach out to.
Yeah.
There is NAPTIP, we have FIDA, that's International Federation of Women Lawyers.
Okay.
Then we have gender help desk too in police stations, and I really believe, and with my brief little understanding of how they operate, they are usually educated on how to handle victims. So
okay.
please speak out.
Thank you very much for coming. Shall we celebrate her, please? And our developmental psychologist, my dear sister and friend, Sister Lydia Adelado, thanks so much for honoring us today. We appreciate you deeply. And finally, our mommy as well, the security expert, you know, Deaconess Alao, thank you so much for coming. Honestly, with my little knowledge of our schedules, it's a real honor for all of you to be with us today. And we do not take it lightly at all. Thank you very much. By God's grace, another edition of other trending issues will continue to go live as God leads the leaders in this fellowship. Once again, thank you and God bless you. Don't forget to send in your questions. Our facilitators will still attend to them. Thank you very much.